future commission meeting. We had a suggestion from the vice chairman here a little while ago, and then we'll move down the row here.
I'd like to make potential agenda items for next meeting. I would like to recommend you put have the department come up with a proposed bear hunt for 2011 with tag fees, utilization of dogs, license fees, areas, quotas for the commission. And also, I'd like to put on the agenda discussion of wolf reclassification from a game animal back to a not unclassified,
unprotected mammal.
Unprotected wolf.
Just reclassify it. Reclassification.
What'd I say?
We'll just reclassification.
I said a wolf.
And we'll have the full list.
Right.
With no L.
For bear.
Wolf. Wolf.
Wolf. Special wolf.
How do you spell that? Good.
Double O.
I said it with no L.
W-O-L.
I'd like to make a suggestion that I invite Bob Williams with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to come explain to the commission what they can and can't do and the ramifications of taking certain actions from a federal enforcement side and endangered species.
Bob Williams. If we have him as a speaker. Okay. Okay. We had Mr. Pearl, and then we'll move down and see if anybody else on this side.
Probably not.
I would also like to that special list for discussion is moving mountain lions into the unprotected mammal category.
Okay.
And secondly, to discuss providing for some type of, sorry. The first one was to put, to discuss putting mountain lions into the unprotected mammal class.
So you want to reclassify mountain?
Yes. And secondly, to discuss in some incentive program for early application for tags.
Could you explain that? I don't understand.
Purpose for that is to, right now we have a situation in which 50% of the tag applications come in the last 5 days to SCI. What we're trying to do is find out a way that we can incentivize people to apply earlier in the process so that we don't get this huge bang to the system at the end. And there's a number of things we could discuss on that.
Okay. Anybody else? Gentlemen? Other end, Mr. Vogler.
This is something that I've thought about for years and years and years. We have an interested population in this state of hunters. And then all of a sudden everything goes away, and it's sort of like this huge letdown. We have a few people that hunt predators. In my area, I have a lot of hunters that come over from Utah because Utah has a bounty system on their coyotes. And I would like to see a discussion with this board and with everybody, and especially the cabs, to have an incentivized hunt rather than a bounty. Somebody who brings in, say, and pick a number, make it a big number. And yeah, you might have 2 or 3 guys kick their coyotes together to try and get the one tag. But have an incentive of have some of our big game tags, like, for example, 150 coyotes get an elk tag. 250, 300 tags, you get a sheep tag. Something like that. Something to give these guys that are sitting in the house, football season's over with, and they're waiting for fishing to start. They got 3 or 4 months to go out there and help us with our coyote problem. And also, they'll buy their licenses early. There's lots of positive things to it. And if the incentive is to get a tag, I don't know, maybe the hunters wouldn't like it, but I know that Utah pays a $25 bounty, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, about the first good cold day in January, there's Utah trucks sitting on every road over there, and there's guys got their teeth cameled out, and they're hunting coyotes. My suggestion, I would like to have it kicked around. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? That'd be an interesting one to try to figure out that particular wording on the agenda. I might have to help with that. Might need a lot of help with that, in fact. Okay, anybody else? All right, anybody else? We can, let's see.
Future commission meeting.
Here we go. That was the one portion of that, review potential agenda items. Okay. Now, Mr. Mayor, we talked about future meetings. Let's see, if we have anything else now, you submitted something here with some support material right on dates.
We have a date of September 24th and 25th in Las Vegas. And you also asked about, the commission meeting schedule may be revised to include a joint meeting with the Utah Commission. And I have I will call Jim Karpowitz, the director of Utah, and see what their schedule is. Their commission process and makeup is a little different than ours, so we'll see what's possible from their perspective.
Okay.
And I question, did you talk to the commissioners in Utah and that's what they wanted to do?
Yes.
Okay, because Jim, when I talked to him at WAFWA, he hadn't heard that, so I will.
Commissioner Lent?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Utah commissioners would really appreciate it, and I was told by the chairman that he talked to the director, and the director said, I won't meet anywhere but Wendover. So I said we'd have our director and their director get together. I'd like to suggest some topics when you talk to them. The topics I'd like to see on the joint were the Pilot Peak sheep hunt, because Utah is taking advantage of it and they're hunting it this year and we're not, so it'd be a joint hunt. I'd like to discuss the spike elk hunt that they do, that we instigated with their joint elk plan. I'd like to discuss their predator plan. They came to Elko years ago and discuss their predator plan and how they manage their predator plan, and I'd like to have those things, and then any other subjects that we have in joint interest between the two states. Also, we could also, if we needed to adjourn the commission, make it a committee of the whole to discuss any committee things if we needed to, but it wouldn't have to be at that meeting, but and any other items that
113 elk. 113 elk.
113 elk would be another one. Okay. We met with California, that was very interesting, and then I think that Idaho said they'd like to get in it because they have a lot in common with the elk herds in Nevada, so see how this Utah goes, and then maybe do another tri-state or something down the road. But that's what I'd like to see, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Mr. Capurro?
Yeah, real briefly to back up what Mr. Lent said. This item was actually discussed on the commission meeting agenda at WAFWA, and there was a lot of interest expressed by Arizona, Utah, Idaho, even Montana, but what we thought, and some of them even talked about maybe a tri-state sort of thing at some point in time. We thought we'd start out relatively easily in that with the state of Utah, and that's why it came up.
Okay, do we have a time frame we'd be talking about? That's basically something we got to come up with. I mean, within 2011, 2012?
2011.
As soon as possible.
Okay, as soon as possible.
I think Mr. Chairman would pretty much have to have Mr. Mayor coordinate with the director of Utah and see if
Okay.
there's a time frame. That's
We have a schedule of proposed dates. I'm sure they do. So we'll somehow need to mold, and we may need to modify one of our dates or whatnot.
Okay, and we'd also spoken before about having an additional meeting to deal with legislative items here previously. We want to go over that any? Remember we discussed that before? Do we want to do this with Utah instead of that? What was the favor of the commission?
Mr. Chairman, you have a legislative committee. I'm the chairman of it. We have discussed the potential for having a committee meeting of the legislative committee to look at something. Some of these suggestions that you have for the agenda will need legislative action.
Okay.
So I think you'd probably be better off having your legislative committee look at it first with a recommendation to the full commission.
Okay, because I think we were talking about before was you thought of 15th and 16th April's time in there because the current meetings being, as they're scheduled, 25th, 26th of March, 13th, 14th of May, would not fit the legislative calendar for having the commission vote on things?
Well, if the legislative committee is
2011?
going to meet, it's going to have to before the legislature starts in February. Otherwise, there's no use meeting.
Well, in the committee, but for the commission to take a stand on items, I mean, that's what came up last time, it was April. Did we want to do that, or what this came up last meeting?
What is our,
One suggestion, I think we really wanted it in March, and we ended up in April as far as an extra legislative meeting of the commission. And I would hope that by then, we might be able to use the technology, with a teleconferencing or something, so we need to try to keep the costs down. We're going to be under tremendous scrutiny from the governor's office.
you're talking about the commission meeting?
Yes,
though, right?
yeah, and the department, and so what I'm saying is that I think we could plan to add one. I thought that so I'm clear in my own mind, the Utah Commission, Joint Commission would be like we did with California, it was a 2-day meeting. One day was our business, one day was a joint issues, kind of a deal, and we could hopefully find a date that we already have normally scheduled. Maybe it's maybe it is March, I don't know.
The schedule was kind of final, so that's why I put it in September to know if there was a date.
Anyway, I'll work on that, come back in September and give you some ideas.
I will talk to
Okay.
Suzanne about setting up a legislative committee meeting in the next month or so.
Okay, the committee, I'm worried about the commission meeting, when we're going to stick to that commission meeting, because if the commission wants to vote upon these items, then that's,
When's the schedule?
and you'd be best to know the legislature's schedule better than most.
That'd be the March meeting, probably.
Would that be sufficient, or should we move that
February.
one way or the other?
If we wait till the May meeting, you can forget it, because the legislature's over June 6th or 7th, something like
The
that.
last meeting, I think we talked about moving the March meeting back to the 11th, 12th of March, and then having one 15th, 16th April.
Yeah, the March meeting would be the best one,
Oh, as opposed to April?
yes. There were some other reasons why that was moved last time, and that, which, I would prefer doing it in March if that's okay with the rest of the commission.
Okay, so this is an action item about setting this schedule. Do we want to hash it more? Have motion on it?
Get back with the Utah schedule.
Come back to the schedule that includes Utah meeting? Okay,
We need to work with the department on that. but-
okay. You could work on so if we come back to the schedule, it includes a Utah meeting, and speak with Darrell about what meeting we should schedule for the legislative.
That won't take
portion.
a full, that'll simply be an issue on one of the regular meetings.
Okay,
Do that in Utah.
Could,
okay.
yeah, there's no reason we couldn't do that.
Yeah, there'd be no reason we couldn't do that all in one meeting. Utah meeting, one day our business, the other day Utah. And have legislative all at the same time, possibly.
Yeah.
If that'll work with Utah, of course.
Just as memory strikes me, what happened was in March, we had a legislative discussion, but not all the legislation that affected the department was discussed, so we had to add a meeting, if you recall. So hopefully we won't have that situation this year.
One never knows when the legislature is in session. Was that Mark Twain said? I won't quote it. Okay.
Everybody's life, liberty, and property are.
Yeah. And other things. Okay, so what else do we have here?
My favorite motion.
The DAG's on overtime.
We're waiting on that motion.
Move to adjourn. Right on your own.
Been moved, adjourned, all in favor?
Aye, you didn't even get a chance to make it.
Well, it was like 6 people.
Somebody beat me to
Motion
it.
stands adjourned. Thank you. Thank you all for coming.
I guess I gotta clean up my mess.
Thank you very much for putting up with me.
Smoking right now.
That's what happens when you volunteer to be the ag and wildlife.
Find that right.
Is the new name on it?
Yeah.